I can do that if you like.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Brown, she, her, and I will be your worship associate this morning. We are so happy that you are joining us today because today's service we're going to be talking about happiness. Our speaker this morning is going to be you. We want to hear from each of you. We want to hear what you have to say about happiness. I hope you will join in the conversation. We're going to begin our service by singing together, "Love Will Make a Way." I invite you to stand and sing along as you're able. The words will be on the screen. Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, good morning. We're going to be talking about happiness today. And what we've come up with is 8 concepts, 8 principles, 8 ideas about how to live a happier life. And what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer, and we're going to talk about each one of them for 5 minutes. All right? So now, here's the fun part. Each of you got a card, hopefully, this morning as you walked in. If you'd open up that card, look inside that card, you're going to see one of the 8 principles in that card. Before you get nervous, before you trade your card off or throw it in the trash, don't worry, we're not going to make you do anything. But this is an invitation. This is an invitation. Those cards were handed out completely at random. The universe chose you and chose this topic for you this morning. So I'm going to invite you, when we come to your topic that's in your card, I'm going to ask you if you will be willing to jump up and share. Okay? I'm not going to make anybody do anything, but I'm just inviting you. So if you don't typically speak up during our coffee house services, this is your invitation. The universe is inviting you. So I invite you to jump in and just give it a try. Our 8 principles are this: forgiveness, being present, accepting life, staying involved in the living world, learning from your mistakes, cultivate your strengths, be kind to yourself, and find something bigger than yourself. Those are the 8 topics. So we're beginning this morning with forgiveness. Forgiveness. Now, I spent a whole message on that a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but I want us to just take a moment and recap maybe some of the things we did. I'm going to set this timer. We got, Kristen, if you grab that other microphone and help. I'm going to grab this microphone because you are the speakers this morning. And if you don't talk, we're going to be in trouble. All the way in the back. There we go. All right, so forgiveness. We learned in that message that forgiveness is so much about the story that we tell ourselves. When we refuse to forgive, we're telling ourselves a story about how we need to punish this other person or what we need to get from this other person. And so being able to let go of that story is critical for us to be able to let go of past grievances. So the question is, let's begin with this, and if you've got one of the forgiveness ones, I'm going to invite you to go first. And then if nobody else, once that finishes, if we still got time, then we'll open it up to everybody else. But the first question is, why are we so willing to hold grudges? All right, here we go. Why are you so willing to hold grudges? Here we go. We got 5 minutes. Who wants to go first? All right.
I have forgiveness. Okay.
Why are we so willing to hold grudges?
Because we need everybody. Or no, because we think we don't need everybody. And then forgiveness is when we find out we do need everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. Who else? Yeah.
Because it's much easier to think that there are villains in this world. There's evil. Some people are evil. And so it's a very convenient way of excusing your own shortcomings.
Yes. Good. Who else? Who else? All right, next question. What do you do if you need to forgive somebody who's no longer around? Someone who's passed away, or maybe they've moved to another country, whatever. They're not in your life anymore, but you still are holding on to that person. All right, here we go. Got a couple hands.
You forgive them.
Okay, but how? They're not here anymore.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just let go. Okay, all right.
I think that kind of forgiveness is where you do empty it out of yourself.
How do you do that?
By forgiving them, by realizing that this is not something that I need to hold on to anymore.
Planting a tree in their memory.
Okay, all right.
Catholic Church has a very good institution there. They used to sell indulgences. I will sell some when the auction comes up if you need to forgive some people. $5, one indulgence,
There
and
you
you're
go.
good to
I like this. I like where this is going. Yes. Who else? Yeah.
I think one of the things that sets the stage for forgiveness is to understand root cause of the behavior that you're so angry about and be able to see not only what set them up to do that, because I don't think people are deliberately out there to hurt each other. They just are trying to make themselves feel important or loved or valued. But to see those things in yourself and to come to grips with those things in yourself, to let that stuff go as well.
Yeah.
A few of us actually participated with the Beth Shalom Temple and read that book on repentance and repair. And if you get the opportunity to do that, it was transformative.
Nice. Has anybody ever written a letter to somebody that's passed away? You want to share about that? Has anybody written a letter to someone who's passed away to maybe process some of this? Would you be willing to share about that? Who'd you write to?
I wrote a letter to my mother because, we had a complicated relationship as children, and their parents often do. And she was kind of a perfectionist, so it was hard to live up to. But I decided that for my own benefit, I had to kind of let go of some of the anger I had there, and I wrote the letter. And what I focused on what was good about our relationship and the things I cherished about her, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, good. That's the funny thing about forgiveness. It's really more for your sake, isn't it?
That's pretty much what I was going to say. Is if you are able to forgive somebody, that takes the burden off of you. It really can be quite selfish to forgive, or just say, just get over it. You're not, as long as you hold a grudge to that against that person still holds power over you, and you don't want that. Exactly. To hell with them.
All right, last question. What about the person who just will not change? Maybe it's somebody who's continuously, maybe there's an addictive behavior, whatever. They just cannot change. And they keep coming back saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And you get to the place where you just don't believe them anymore. What do you do with that? Who's dealt with that? Yeah? 19 seconds.
I think Barney Fife summed it up for all of us. Nip it in the bud.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean that they have to stay in your life.
Very good point. Very good point. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Kristen's going to come up and lead us with number 2.
So this one is being present, which is also the concept of mindfulness. So just thinking about how much time do you spend in the past? And how much time do you spend in the future? So mindfulness is the practice of learning to bring your attention to the present and accepting it for what it is. You don't have to silver lining it. The present could suck. There's still research saying that if you sit with the suck, that you're happier than thinking about the present or the past or the future. We're still learning about all the benefits of mindfulness. We know it helps with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, addiction, chronic pain, recovering from illness, and preventing illness. What are some ways that you practice mindfulness or staying in the present?
Who's got staying present? You go first. Behind me.
I don't have that. And I am living in the past right now because I'm going back to our very first question about why it's so easy to hold a grudge. And I think part of it is that it is so much easier to hold a grudge than to look at your own assumptions, because you can just dig in your heels and blame somebody else. You don't have to examine your own beliefs and opinions.
All right, staying present.
Thank you. Well, I strongly believe in meditation and yoga, and I was just lucky enough to come back on Friday from a yoga retreat in Iceland. It was unbelievable, fabulous. It was, I listened to this app called Mindful in Minutes for the past 6 years, and she's the one who ran it, so getting to meet her in person and meditate and do yoga every morning, and that's all we did was stay present, and it's so, so important and so healthy for you.
Any other mindfulness practices, ways that you stay present?
So Kit and I both go to the Zen farm once a week, and on top of that, I have to be present because I can't remember anything.
Do you have one?
I was going to say one of the things that is amazing in this area, particularly I walk out my front door and I see deer in my front yard, and it's a clear, beautiful day, and you pause and breathe that in and think, wow.
I have this tendency to overthink everything. And so about the third or fourth time I'm repeating my thinking, I notice it. And then I'm like, stop, just be here now.
Yeah, a lot of these are really aspirational, like best case scenario, like I'm in a yoga retreat or I'm with the deer. Like, are there practices that people have staying present when you don't like where you are? Like driving. When it's really easy to be either in the past or the future. You don't have to answer that. I'm just putting it out there. You can say whatever you're planning to say.
So, okay, well, I would contest this idea that it's so wicked to think about the past or think about the future. I mean, there's a certain, there's a necessity to that sometimes, but also a value. And also my question, what does it mean to be present? Mindfulness is one thing, and to my understanding is that is a case of observing your reactions and not getting carried away with them, and that's beneficial. But otherwise, I'm not quite sure what being present, what the benefit is.
So, and we can be present and still be reminiscing or planning, right? But it's the idea of I am presently reminiscing with someone. I'm not actually like putting myself back there. I'm here thinking about back there, but like I'm focused on the conversation here. But
it's very simplistic, but I think it's Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers said that the present is a present. It's a gift.
One practice that's easy to use to put yourself in a mindfulness sort of state, like on the spot, is how many of us have played hide and seek? I'm sure most, if not all of us. Remember when you were a kid and you'd be hiding, waiting for the seeker? In that moment, that feeling, that thought, that just quiet waiting and observing, that is a way of being mindful. And if you can remember that practice when you were a child playing hide and seek, you can use that as an adult to just bring yourself back to the moment.
There's a pertinent political slogan, do something.
Right now. Right.
There's a book called Be Here Now, and what I do to practice that book is to say, I am driving, I am driving, I am driving, I am looking at the sky, I'm looking at the sky. And when you're focusing on whatever you're doing to be here now, those other things just kind of go away, as long as you can have that focus on being here now.
Nice. Thank you, everybody. Steve? Just I wish I could whistle like that. Whenever I try to whistle in a song, I just start giggling, and it doesn't work. All right. Number 3, accept life. Here we go. Let's see if you can finish this. God, grant me the serenity I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah. No matter what you think about that very first word, there's a lot of wisdom in that prayer. Yes? Accepting the things we cannot change, the courage to change things we can. Who's got accept life? Who would like to speak? How do we do this? Why is this so tough? Who's got one?
Actually, when I first opened this, I didn't know what it meant, so thank you for explaining. Acceptance of life. I think our culture is so hung up on more and buying and showing and telling all of the things that we have, and we need to work to understand that keeping up with everybody else isn't the most important thing, and accepting what we have and learning to be happy with what we have. I know that's hard for someone who doesn't have enough, but I think most of us have enough to find a way to be happy.
Yeah. What about when life just hands you a shit show? What do you do to cope with that? You know, life, I've been alive now for 63 years, and life has never asked my opinion about anything. Stuff just happens, whether I like it or not. But I can make myself miserable.
Empathy for yourself and your situation, and then go get therapy.
Okay. So, but yeah, talking to somebody, I think that's important. Yeah.
I'm confused about what actually we mean by accepting life, because there's so much crap out there that our participation in the change of the negative stuff is so important. I don't think that we should accept life just as it is, because so much of it needs to be changed a little bit.
Okay. So does acceptance mean you don't do anything about it?
I think it's important to remember that none of us are going to get out alive. And the only way to enjoy life is to go through it. And acceptance doesn't have to mean that you like it. It's a really important thing to remember. My life has been a shit show for about 2 years. And at some point I just had to accept that it was going to take hard work, but that I would get through it.
Yeah, again, it's about your happiness. Life is going to do what life does. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Yeah.
I have accepted that many people do not like me for who I am, and I'm just going to go ahead and have the best life I can out of spite and continue to be a teacher and influence the younger for better.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, it's all fine and good to accept life, but I'm in a situation where I have to accept death, and I've been pretty sick off and on, so I go kind of back and forth with some of this mindfulness stuff about accepting, you know, what's left, but it's off and on.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, it's not easy. We wouldn't be talking about it if it was easy.
Something that may help you, death is a part of life.
Sure.
So two things. One is volunteer for those that are less fortunate with those that are less fortunate than you, and it'll give you some perspective. And the other one is vote. Please vote.
Yeah, Hannah Laura.
Okay, what I learned is belong to a group like the UUs. And a lot of you know me, I know a lot of you, and I never really thanked you. You basically saved my life. And that is so great to have you. And surround yourself with people like here. It's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Accepting life. Yeah.
So many of you know I have a caretaker personality. It was in my job in my life. I take care of people and things. And so for many, and still, I catch myself, I think my way is probably the best way. And realizing in my heart that I can't change someone to be the way I want them to be is hugely freeing, really. But it's on a one-to-one basis. I know that most of the people in this room would be better if they'd be more like me, but for some of them I've let go.
Good. All right, thank you. Kristen?
All right. So if you take a baby and you take it into the forest and you put the baby down and you leave, what does the baby do? It cries. Why? What does it want you to do? To come back, right? So when we think about this and we consider how defenseless babies are, right, it doesn't seem particularly adaptive that in a situation where it doesn't know what it's out to get, like what's out there to get it, that it would make so much noise. Yeah, the reason it does that is because connection is our biggest survival superpower as being a person.
Yeah.
So being connected to others can reduce someone's risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, depression, anxiety, stress, insomnia. It can lead to healthy habits. Yeah. Yet, often, I fall into this bucket, you might not. When we feel crummy, we don't want to connect with other people. We want to hang out by ourselves. So how do you stay connected when you don't want to?
If you're really lucky, you find work that makes you stay connected in human services or caretaking. And then if you can't find work that allows you to stay connected, you volunteer. You find a community to be a part of. I work at Meals on Wheels, and I get to see the changes, the positive changes that come into people's lives every day just by being part of a community that cares about each other. Social isolation is a big thing with the people we serve, and what we do relieves that. And then we get to see relationships form, and at some point we all come to realize there's not a group that's just being helped, and there's not a group that's just helping.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to give each other. So find a community and be a part of it, because that community needs you just as much as you need it.
Yeah.
Thanks for teeing me up. So, as a lot of you know, I started coming here about 2 years ago. My family life changed dramatically. I went from a very full, loud house to a very empty house, pretty much overnight. And I sat in that alone for a while because I didn't want to be around people because it reminded me of what I didn't have. And one day, my neighbor Wendy, who's not here today, basically said, "You're going to church with me." And I kind of, kicking and screaming came, and being involved here with you lovely people has changed my life. And so I think that, to what my amazing girlfriend just said, being involved is something that you have to do in spite of yourself. Because if you don't, the alternative, you're not going to get better.
Thank you. And one of the really important things that I think I heard you all saying was make an obligation to somebody else, because then you're going to be less likely to back out of it.
Yes.
Love yourself. One of the things that the older child will do who has some skills, they will self-soothe. They will find out how to play by themselves. And oftentimes, the older child who's older than that will say, "I am bored. I'm not happy with things." To which you will say to them, "Find something to do." And then after you say that, guess what? They find something to do, and they're self-soothing.
This also speaks a little bit to the last question about accepting life. I think you don't necessarily have to actually be with people to be connected to people and not feel alone. Everybody is going to be going through joy at some point. We're all going to go through grief, fear, anger, all the things. And with all the billions of people on this planet, I know whatever I'm going through, there are millions, if not billions, of other people in very similar, if not the same boat, same emotions. So, I don't have to feel alone, even if I'm not actually with people.
I've been a member of this fellowship for 35 years or something, and about 25 years or so ago, I went through a divorce and sort of fell off the face of the earth for a while. This is echoes of what Hannah Laura said, but this fellowship, I don't think it's saying too much to say. In many ways, it saved me. I'd already been a part of the fellowship, but I didn't really know what being a part of the fellowship meant to me and would mean to me going forward in terms of my growth and understanding until I needed it so desperately, and it was here for me. And I will be eternally grateful. And when I think about connection, I can't think about connection outside, my family connections without thinking about this place and the people right here. And so my gratitude sort of knows no bounds.
Beautiful. Thank you. Bruce? Sorry, I got the wrong title up there. I was so looking forward to Feeling Groovy, but it's not happening. Feeling Groovy. Thank you, Bruce. All right, our next principle, learn from your mistakes. Funny thing about learning, if you want to learn something new, you know what you have to be willing to do? You have to be willing to fail. And fail big. That's the only way we can learn. If you want to learn a new language, you want to learn how to play the piano, you're going to have to fail. The question is not, are you going to fail? The question is, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? Start that timer. Here we go. Learn from your mistakes. What have you learned? How do you handle it? How do you keep from getting discouraged and just giving up?
Well, I've learned that failure is called experience, and I'm a very experienced person. So.
There you go, just another name. Yeah.
When I was first starting to play jazz piano in bands, I was kind of hesitant and shy, and our bass player said, "Don't worry, get in there and make those mistakes," which I did, and he corrected me, and I learned a lot.
Well, this one's always been hard for me because I rarely fail at whatever I do. So I find it difficult when I do fail because then I just give up, you know?
Right. When you're used to being very successful and things coming easy to you, you pick up something that doesn't come easy to you, it's hard.
Well, in the medical profession, when you fail, it doesn't go down very well. So one tries very hard not to fail, and I'm not sure how much failure you have to do, whether that's really a necessity for, improving and learning new things. I would question that.
Well, how else are you going to learn? How else does anybody learn?
Well, I guess in the instance I'm talking about, you find out beforehand what you need to do, and you try and do it right first time round.
But that predates, that means somebody failed before you, and so they wrote it down, what to do, so that you could learn from it, right? Somebody else. Yeah. That's a whole nother skill, right? Learning from other people's mistakes. That's called wisdom, isn't it? I don't have very much of that. Who else? What do you do? You're trying something new, you're getting discouraged. How do you keep going?
I think it's important just to be gracious with yourself and gentle with yourself, and just remind yourself, like, I'm doing something new, I'm trying something new, instead of holding yourself back from even doing it in the first place. So, but definitely being kind to yourself.
Okay.
I think right now the practice I'm trying is, if a mistake is made, whether it's by me or by somebody else, it's saying out loud, like, lesson learned, and taking a note and trying to not let it change my disposition, but to let myself know that this is a lesson or this was a mistake, and grow from it.
Yeah. What about when somebody around you, well, I'll let you speak to that and I'll ask you another question.
One of the challenges with failure is to have the positive mindset, to recognize it as an opportunity.
Yes.
And if we can embrace that emotionally, psychologically, so that we're kind to ourselves, that now we've got this opportunity to evolve, that's part of the challenge, and comes to some degree, I think, with self-discipline, but it also comes with, someone was talking about self-love, recognizing that nothing ever stays the same, we're constantly evolving, and so these are the opportunities to help us do that.
True, yep. What about when somebody around you is making mistakes? Do you have the grace, the wisdom to look at that and say, they're just learning?
Don't worry, it's none of you guys. I have a 5-year-old son, and it's probably one of the best parts about being a father or being a parent is getting the opportunity to have this small creature grow and make mistakes and be a part of it and show them that it's a positive experience. A lot of us were raised realizing that mistakes were really bad and to act a certain way, and it shaped us. And to have the opportunity to do it much different than that is a very rewarding experience, and I hope that it fosters something in him that allows him to experience failure as exactly that. It's a positive thing that allows us to learn so much more about ourselves.
Mistakes have made me think about my children too, because I want to be a model to them when I fail and make mistakes, that they can see that I give myself grace and kindness and work towards figuring something out, and they both have that in them too. So being a parent and being a good example when your children make mistakes, whether it's spilling a cup of milk, breaking something at school, you just give yourself the same grace you give your children and encourage them to be present and then move forward.
I think that a lot of times we are harder on ourselves than we are other people. And when someone around you believes that they failed, it's an opportunity for you to show them that they did not fail, that they are learning and they are growing, and therefore that's an opportunity to remind yourself for next time.
Thank you. Kristen?
So this will feed into that really nicely. Okay, so this one is develop your strengths. Anyone else in here do ballet growing up? Or gymnastics? So these for me were the times that I learned to focus on my mistakes and not my successes, that my responsibility was to try and be perfect. For you, it might have been some other kind of experience, but a lot of us have that. When we think about self-improvement, we often think about getting better in our areas of weakness, but we can't be good at everything. What if we focused on getting even better at something that we're already good at? So picture you're being chosen to work on a team, okay? You were picked to provide something for that team. Why were you chosen? What is the strength that you have that's going to make you an amazing member of that team? And how can you make it better?
I actually got this card. There's a lot of areas of life where this is, extremely important. I think one of them, which was brought up earlier, was connection and relationships. Relationships come in all forms, from being at work to being at home to, hobbies that we enjoy, and fostering the strength of learning how to connect with somebody else has a lot of value, because it can further your abilities to be better at your job. It can promote others at their job to want to strive to do even better. At home, it shows everyone wants to try and show up for the others. In our hobbies, a lot of people don't believe in themselves, and again, seeing that someone else believes in them and having that connection where they trust your caring and thoughtfulness is something that really does make waves. So definitely worth it.
A little different spin on that. Back in my previous life when I had to work for a living, part of my had to develop projects, and part of my job was to put the right manager whose strength could best excel in that project. But more importantly, then know his or her weaknesses, and then surround the other team members with those strengths. So it is humbling, and it's also a way to self-develop, because you have to know what your weaknesses are to know what your strengths are. And then how to work. We all can't be perfect in everything, so we have to know both our strengths and our weaknesses and develop both.
Yeah, and also asking for help. Whenever I do a project, I pick somebody who's like really organized, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to.
Developing is so important. Before developing strengths,
it would be so nice to develop our wisdom, that we would know how to apply our strengths. As a team player, this person is very much aware of that we are in a team, and we have to be equally giving time to each other and hear each other, not that somebody is so strong will take over and we won't hear the rest of the team. Therefore, wisdom, justice, and get over our childlike behavior. There are so many people, they look like an adult, but they are very childlike. And they are in a very strange position. So we are going to have wisdom to do not follow the childlike people.
So David handed this to me, which probably means I'm supposed to say something. What occurred to me with this question is, I had a professor once who said, there is nothing more satisfying than being an expert. And so if there's something that you love and that you do as a hobby, think about starting a course of study in it. Learn everything you can about that thing. Practice it, do it, share it. That is an incredibly fulfilling part of life.
It is possible in the vast majority of situations, not all certainly, but in the vast majority of situations to find humor. You can find some idiosyncrasy, some, something that's off, something that reminds you of something that happened in the past that worked out in a funny way. Anyway, I think being able to find humor in most situations will save you over and over and over again.
So I write books for a living. I've published 15 books, commercial presses, and had what would look like a lot of success with those books. But I wrote 4 complete novels, none of which were published before I published my first book. And even now, very deep into my career as a writer, you will never read anything I write that I haven't revised 20, 30 times. And that's not an exaggeration. I'm not saying that for effect. That's just the truth. I know my craft inside and out, and if you want me to bore you to death, I'll be glad to talk craft to you all day and night. But even knowing my craft, I'm an expert in this stuff. It's there, but it's also that continued dedication to effecting that craft. And the minute I take my foot off the accelerator with that is the minute that I'm not going to write anything you should read.
Yeah, that focusing on our strengths doesn't mean that we're not working hard, right?
We're going into speed round because we're running late. Here we go. Last two items are be kind to yourself. The other day when Rebecca, I was getting ready to leave, I guess, and go ahead and start it. Okay. And I said, Rebecca, be kind to my friend Rebecca today. We tend to just be so hard on ourselves. We are our own worst critic, right? Is that true for you? Yeah. How do we get past that? How do we get past that negative self-talk? Getting my steps in today.
And for me, this is something I personally struggled with, and I came across a quote once that really resonated with me, which is, negative self-talk is just do-it-yourself bullying. And it really hit me that was what it was. And so that helped. Negative self-talk is just do-it-yourself bullying. And so it helps me overcome that.
Yeah, good.
That kind of goes to internal family systems in therapy where they ask you, would you speak like that to your younger self? Would you speak like that to 7-year-old Jackie? Do you want her to feel that way? Would you call her fat? Would you call her funny looking or an odd duck or whatever? And you have to ask yourself, you have to remember that we're just children, and we need to be kind to ourselves.
Well, I have to believe that I received this one for a reason, because it's something I've struggled with greatly. I worked a very demanding career for 20 years, where I worked nothing less than 80 hours a week, and I was on the road 3 out of 4 weeks. And I did it because I felt like it was what I had to do at the time, but I realized that my life was completely imbalanced in favor of work. So when I retired from that, I wasn't sure what I would do with myself. And then one day I was in the dry cleaners and I saw a sign saying, volunteer to teach ESL. So I thought, that sounds like it's really interesting to me. So I did that, and what I realized was these folks were so thirsty for the knowledge, and it made me so proud and made me feel good about myself to help them. So in that act of service, I realized, well, this is my way of being kind to myself. One way is because I got joy from that.
Yeah.
I love that you just said that. I'm going to piggyback off of that. I feel like here in America, we put so much emphasis on the individual, but sometimes I think that the way to self-love is loving others. And I think that's completely valid, and I think it's what makes us humans. So.
Yeah, I think that I try to take time for myself. And the first thing that comes to mind is something like a walk through the gardens at Chatham Manor, where you just clear your head and look around and see the beauty and just stop worrying about things.
Nice. All right, because of time, we're going to go ahead and move on to our last principle. Kristen?
I'm going. Okay. So this one is connecting to something bigger. And I'm a nerd. When they use fMRI to look at someone's brain while they're praying, someone who feels connected to whatever God that they're praying to, the results are the same as an fMRI of someone talking to a friend. So what do you already feel connected to that's bigger than yourself right now?
The Democratic Party.
There you go.
Shocking you would say that. Shocking.
Yes. I'm going to give you the benefit of 20 years of therapy. Our counselor once told us that you have to have about 13 different communities in your life, and I believe in community. And so I made a list of my communities so you know what I'm talking about. So there's family, there's extended family, for me, there's the YMCA, there's my swim friends, there's the UUFF, there's the membership committee, there's the board of trustees, there's community meals, there's my work friends, my neighbors, our real estate friends, old friends, Patrick's group, and the collage group. That's 14.
I'm here at this congregation, this is my third visit, primarily because of your sign that you see as you come in, what you believe in here.
Yeah.
I was looking for a group of people that believe in the same things I believe in. For the last, I don't know, 5 years, I haven't gone to church because I felt a disconnection with the traditional way of practicing Christianity. And I said to my husband, I just need to find another community. I need to find a community that believes like me. And I saw your sign out front, your rainbow sign, what you believe in here. And
Yeah.
I thought, those I think are going to be the people I want to hang with.
Nice, nice. Welcome, welcome.
I believe in a connection with nature. Where my home is, we are outnumbered by birds and foxes and bald eagles, and we are immersed next to the woods and near the Rappahannock River, and we are just part of that ecosystem there and try to contribute to the benefit of all.
I would say think of the strongest person in your life and stay connected to them, because as long as you have them, you're never alone. So for me, that would be my mother, because she's very strong, and I've never been alone as long as I've had her.
Anybody else? We're going to wrap it up. Last chance. All right. Have you enjoyed this service? All right. So, that little card you have, I invite you to send that card to someone this week. Somebody that's made your life better, somebody that's made you happy, or maybe somebody you know of that needs a little pickup. You can send them just a nice little note. So I encourage you to do that. That's your gift that you can now give out, because one thing that will make us happy is when we make the people around us happy. So I invite you to do that. Hey, some quick announcements. The At Your Service auction is coming right up. It is November the 16th, Saturday night, 7 p.m., right here. This is our largest fundraiser of the year, and it does not happen without you. Right? So many of you give so generously every year. Your services, you have house parties, you donate, a week at the beach, or, you do a craft work, you do artwork. We're going around, we're getting businesses to give us gift cards, all these things we can to try and help drum up some good business and have a lot of fun as we gather together on the 16th. And we bid on those things and help raise a little bit of money for our fellowship. So I hope you'll plan to be a part of that. If you have something you would like to donate, you can contact me. There's a little form we have you fill out. If you are willing to help us, I am in desperate need of help. We have a very short runway. We're trying to get this done this fall rather than in the spring like we have in the past. But if you'd be willing to help me, maybe go to a couple of businesses that you typically frequent, you'd be willing to go and ask them for gift cards, that would be awesome. If you'd be willing to help us with the setup, with the food, with the cleanup, with the online piece of this, putting the things online so we can build a little catalog of stuff. If you're willing to help with any of that, please let me know, and I promise not to overwhelm you. I promise. Okay. All right, here we go. Yes. Oh, yes. Sure. We'll do, so on our Coffee House Sundays, we like to do just an open mic, joys and concerns, rather than ask you to share them or come and do the pebbles. So let's just take a moment. Do you have a joy or a concern that you would like to share this morning briefly before we close?
I'm really happy because a friend showed up next to me today who I haven't seen in a little while, and it was just a really happy moment.
We were very happy last week. Our youngest son, Andrew, was married up in Kennebunkport, Maine. It was a magical location. All our friends and family were there. Very joyful. His wife, Victoria, is a wonderful addition to our family, and we're just very happy.
Yes, I'd like to ditto what the lady back here just said, because we have an old friend here, Mike Carter, has been back to see us for a while.
I'm happy to be back.
I've been gone for about 2 years with a couple of visits, and I'm just really glad to see everyone. My name's Bonnie Rossi, that new faces in the community, old faces in the community. I miss you all. However, I am very busy at my new fellowship in State College, and I take a lot of the gifts that you guys gave to me in my 12 years as a member and share them with the rest of my Pennsylvania family, so thank you. Also, Marcia Wilson has a meal train, so if anybody's interested in helping for Nicole DeGeorge, who passed away, she would love more people to help with that. I see some shocked faces, so Marcia isn't here, but she's on the YouTube or something?
Facebook. All right. Thank you.
And I'm just happy today because I moved into my new house downtown, and I went over to introduce myself next door, and this is Lorraine. She's my next door neighbor.
Wonderful.
And she saw all my political signs, and she said, I'm so happy to have a Democrat next to me.
Okay, I'm going to ask our accompanist to start playing. That would be Catherine, I guess. And I'm going to ask everyone to stand if you're able. Let's take a moment to reflect on what was shared this morning. Some wonderful, insightful things that I know I'll keep pondering the rest of this week. So let's have a moment of quiet contemplation as the musician plays. If you would like to contribute financially to this fellowship, we invite you to place your gift in the offering basket in the back, which is located near the rear exit. If you have enjoyed today's service and want to see this fellowship grow and continue to be a positive light in our community, then I encourage you to give generously to support us. Now, please join me in reading our chalice extinguishing slide. There it is. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you.